is in Africa. She is the editor-in-chief of Drumbeat, a monthly e-newsletter on Africa bioscience trend. In 2020, her efforts were recognized with a conferment by the Kenyan president with a state honor Moran of the Order of the Burning Spear, MBS. She holds a PhD degree in environmental science education from Kenyatta University. She is the host of Ofab Kenya Media Awards 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to none other than Dr. Margaret Karembu.
A very good afternoon. Once again, good afternoon. I always tell Dan not to make me feel uneasy by reading too much of what I may not, and to make a correction that I'm not the reason that we are here. You are the reason that we are here. So thank you so much. So I know we have lost a bit of time, but I'm so excited to see all of you, and the room is still overflowing with our guests from far and wide. It has been an exciting moment. 1 year ago, we were here again celebrating journalists and communicators who have been driving the agenda, or at least setting the narrative for agricultural biotechnology. But I know you have seen over the last 2 weeks what has happened, but that will come later. So let me just go straight to my welcoming. So our dear guests, recognizing the ISA board, represented here by the board chair, Dr. Robert Karanja is there, and all the other board members who have joined. We have Ministry of Agriculture senior staff that are here. I know Dr. Francis Owino wanted to be here, but he has sent his very able representatives. That is the Principal Secretary Crops at the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives. We also had the PS, Harry Kimtai, who has been our guest for a number of Ofab sessions, and he also has representatives here. We have our chief guest, who I'll not mention because he'll need to be ably introduced by our MC, just like he has done to me. We also had confirmations from the Ambassador, Republic of Sudan. I don't know whether we have representatives. Oh, there is the ambassador, His Excellency Kamal Gubara Mohammed Salif. Thank you so much for joining us. We like good neighbors. We have Professor Daniel Mugendi, who is the Vice Chancellor, University of Embu. He has just joined us. We have the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Southeastern University of Kenya. I saw Professor Francis Washira, he's right there. And we also had a message from the Vice Chancellor of Masinde Muliro University. I'm mentioning those three because they are hosting the Ofab Kenya nodes in the different counties. We are so grateful that you are here. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so honored to welcome you here to this year's Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology in Africa, the Ofab Kenya Media Awards Gala. We are still celebrating the gala, so please, food is plenty. It's a luncheon, that's why there isn't too much of presentations and technical stuff. So on behalf of our organizers, I would like to express my most sincere gratitude for your presence here this afternoon. I know you had very many competing schedules, but you prioritized to be with us here today, not necessarily because of the lunch. It could be, but because you are all part of the stakeholder community that is working towards improving how biotechnology and indeed science, technology, and innovation is portrayed in the eyes of the public. So a very, very warm welcome to you all. So ladies and gentlemen, Ofab Kenya plays a key role as an enabler of science, technology, and agriculture in all countries around the world. It serves as an effective trustworthy and responsive platform for agricultural stakeholders, such as scientists, journalists, environmentalists, students, civil society, industrialists. That's why we are a very good mix to interact, network, and share their aspirations and concerns about new and emerging technologies. So Ofab Kenya runs in Kenya, but we do have a number of other chapters, as I'll mention. So Ofab provides that opportunity for dialogue. So when you're here, you have that opportunity to dialogue. It's an opportunity also to enhance our understanding, our appreciation of biotechnology, and how to use evidence-based information to inform decision-making and to inform our actions. So Ofab Kenya is the pioneer chapter of the now 10 chapters in Africa. We have Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Rwanda, Mozambique, and Malawi. And I want to sincerely recognize in a very special way the lead Ofab Africa organization, which is also our partner, the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF, which is represented here by senior management, and they are going to introduce themselves later. And so Ofab Kenya is a collaborative partnership between ourselves, ISA AfriCenter, the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, and the National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation. Out of that, we have farmer associations and other partners, including our own research institutions from the different universities and also regional partners. So allow me at this juncture to recognize these partners. The first being the African Agricultural Technology Foundation. When I mention the name, please, the team from AATF, please stand for recognition. So African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF. We have NACOSTI and CALRO. We have the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization that is also a major partner in the awareness activities. Please recognize the team. Then we have the Ofab Kenya nodes, which are hosted by University of Embu for recognition. Southeastern University of Kenya, SEKU, please stand for recognition. And we have Masinde Muliro University of Agriculture and Technology. For those who went through Masinde Muliro, just stand so that we can recognize the graduates of Masinde Muliro University if they are here. Oh, they are not here, but I know they were supposed to be online. I think our online platform had a challenge. But let me just say that the reason why we thought of expanding to the regions is because of the realization that that is where the action is, that is where the farmers are, that is where we need to create awareness so that our farmers are not misinformed. So the OMAS, which is the Ofab Media Awards, recognizes the critical role played by the media, both print, online, radio, and television, in promoting constructive dialogue on modern biotechnology through responsible, professional, ethical, and effective reporting. I repeat, responsible, professional, ethical, and effective reporting. So over the years, Ofab has continuously engaged journalists and enhanced their capacity to accurately and responsibly report on this subject matter, which we all know it has a very, very strong contribution, but also we have different views and different opinions. And this is the 6th of the OMAS that we are celebrating. So on 3rd October, that is exactly 11 days ago, Kenya achieved a historic feat. The government lifted the long-standing ban on genetically modified organisms in the country, which we consider a landmark decision in the history of crop biotechnology in Kenya. This is indeed a big win for most of the stakeholders who are here, who have been working day and night over the last 10 years since that ban was slammed on this technology, working in a very unstable and unpredictable political and policy environment. but that was put to rest 11 days ago. However, we also know, so I want to congratulate all of us here, because I know in one way or the other, we have played a role. So it has been a journey. It is not a one-night decision. 10 years is a long time consulting, investigating, interrogating, going out there to find out what is happening around the world. And the decision has been made that the technology is safe, that Kenya has the institutional mechanism and the policy and legislative structures to manage this technology responsibly and safely. I think that is the most important thing. So Ofab Kenya, as Ofab Kenya, and indeed the community here, we take pride of this decision since it has climaxed our efforts towards adoption of improved climate-smart crops that have potential to build a food, feed, and fiber sufficiency nation and to empower our citizens, majority of whom are smallholder farmers. We wish to convey our utmost gratitude to His Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, a scientist in his own right, and the cabinet for taking a bold step towards lifting the ban, which had denied our farmers access to these new tools that are being used by more than 17 million farmers around the world. So the land back decision heralds a new dawn and revival of Kenya's rich agricultural fortunes and opens an avenue for prosperity, especially for our farmers whose crops have been bearing the heaviest brunt of droughts, pests, and diseases. And as you know, as climate is impacting on our seasons and cropping patterns, this is a time where we need more of tools, not less of the tools. And so biotechnology is one of the additional tools that we strongly feel should be incorporated and should be integrated within the farmer's toolbox, so that those farmers who want to use traditional methods can do that, and then those farmers who want to use cutting-edge science tools can do that. So there's room for everyone. Biotechnology is not a system of farming. It is a technique of improving crops, animals, and other living organisms so that they can perform better, they can deliver better for humanity. So biotech crops, commonly referred to as genetically modified organisms or crops, have been improved to resist pests and diseases and tolerate drought, thus guaranteeing higher yields than conventional varieties. The lifting of the ban, therefore, is a big step towards addressing the country's food, feed, and fiber crisis, and thus ensuring a wealthy and prosperous nation, in addition to all other efforts that are being made by different partners to ensure that the technology is used in a way that it does not harm the environment and in a way that it delivers on its benefits. So in terms of this approval, you may be aware that in 2019, the previous government approved cultivation of BT cotton, which is another genetically modified crop. And as I've been listening to the discussions over the last 2 weeks, I've had a lot of talk about not allowing, not growing, not importing, forgetting that the previous government had already allowed cultivation of BT cotton. Now it's in its second year, and farmers have been giving various testimonials about how that crop is performing. So again, despairing the misinformation that this is an overnight decision. The decision could not have come at a better time, especially for youth, for our young people in our universities who have been graduating with bachelor's degrees in biotechnology, supported by the government, by the taxpayers. But because of that unpredictable policy environment, they have not been able to transition the exciting research, findings, and innovations that they have come up with to benefit society. So again, the ban gives the opportunity for young people because now it's more predictable. Investors who are willing, local and international, who want to work with our young people. Kenya is known for its talent and vibrancy of its young generation. Our women, our special interest groups, we call upon all of us to take up that opportunity and start generating wealth for our country. So commercialization of BT cotton, for example, is a vision to accelerate government's ambition to create at least 500,000 jobs in the cotton subsector for all the cotton subsector players. And cotton is famed as one of the crops with a very long value chain, from the seed production to growing to commercialization, and even when you get to post-commercialization, there are so many products, apart from the fiber that we get out of the cotton. So majority of the clothing on the Kenyan market, for now, are mainly got from outside, and they are got from countries that have almost 100% adoption of BT cotton. So again, when I hear complaints that we cannot touch GMOs, I almost feel like asking our good friends out there what it is they're wearing and whether they know that actually, globally, BT cotton has been grown for 25 years, and most of the fabric now in the global space is actually has a composition of GMO cotton. Let me call it that way. So in doing this, Kenya has now joined the league of other nations, 8 countries in Africa now that have already approved commercialization of BT cotton and other biotech crops. The countries are South Africa, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Malawi, Nigeria, and our neighboring Sudan here, which is almost 100% BT. Hoping that that will also receive the necessary next steps to go into national performance trials. So again, we have been doing a lot of research. So in total, looking at the global space, there are about 190 million hectares that were grown by 29 countries in about 2 years now. That's the data for 2 years. And this has contributed significantly to food security, sustainability, climate change mitigation, uplifting the lives of all those millions of farmers who are relying on biotech crops, either for food, for feed, or even for processing. And 95% of these farmers, 17 million of them, are from developing countries. So globally, the gains contributed by biotech crops have amounted to approximately 25 trillion Kenya shillings in economic benefits. Again, 25 trillion shillings in economic benefits. That's about how many times our budget? Okay, do the maths. To put this into perspective, let me help you. The global economic gains from biotech crops is more than 7 times Kenya's budget of 2020-2023 financial year. So this is, again, to just give us an indication of how much we've been losing over the last 25 years that the crops have already been commercialized, because you'd be part of these gains. So biotech crops, ladies and gentlemen, are safe for human and animal consumption and the environment. Again, biotech crops that have been approved by governments around the world for food, feed, and for processing are safe for human, animal, and for the environment. And scientific evidence has proven this through rigorous reviews of all the work that has been done for the 25 years, and they have all come to the same verdict, that biotech crops have reduced the use of pesticides, they have increased nutrition, and have increased the supply of food, feed, and fiber with reduced cost and longer shelf life, among other numerous benefits. So, well, unfortunately and shockingly, there has been a lot of opinions expressed by Kenyans over the last 2 weeks about the value of biotech crops, so-called GMOs. In fact, I remember we had a meeting the other day, and somebody came to the room and asked, "Are these the GMO people?" I can't see the person, he's not here. Are these the GMO people? So there has been a lot of emotion generated. And why is this so? When you look at the information space, we are suffering from information disorder brought about by information obesity or infobesity. There is so much information that is unvetted, that is going around in our social media platforms, that is going around in our digital space, and unfortunately, it appears like there is a deliberate move to disinform the public about the attributes of biotech crops, and misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation are really serious in our country today. We all have a responsibility to sensitize the public on GMOs. We should be ready to move with changing times and adopt improved crops that have been proved to be safe, and a good example of this being GM crops. Coming to the media contribute towards the crop biotech progress highlighted, and their progress cannot go unnoticed, and that is why we thought it's important to have this platform where we recognize excellence in journalism as far as reporting on this technology is concerned. So Kenya's media have made invaluable contribution to the growth of agricultural biotechnology in the country by making the subject a public agenda item. And again, over the last 2 weeks, we have seen it has actually made the headline. That is what we have been looking for, all for good and bad. The media fraternity is a crucial stakeholder in shaping public opinion on topical issues nationally. The media indeed have a critical role to educate, sensitize, even as they entertain us with a lot of fantasies and fairy tales about different aspects. But for modern biotechnology, it is so important that we do not sensationalize the discussion, because we are talking of matters of life and death. We know currently 4.5 million Kenyans are starving. Thousands of our livestock have died because of lack of food as a result of the drought. Farmers' produce and yields have been declining because of the changing climate and drought. And our whole socioeconomic space was also disrupted because of the pandemic, and also the geopolitical wars that are happening around the world in a number of countries, for example, Ukraine and Russia, where we have traditionally got our deficit, grain, maize, and soya. So I want to applaud the journalists for working with us over the years, as this is closing that gap, big gap between misinformation and evidence, and the dissemination of factual information is key, especially at this moment when we are really having a big information disorder. In particular, they have led from the front in countering misinformation, thus cultivating public awareness on the technology. It is for this reason, and in the best spirit of Ofab Kenya Media Awards, that we are gathered here today to celebrate and appreciate the contribution of these same journalists who have helped in promoting awareness and also helping in the decisions that have been made about this technology. Kenya's media coverage of agricultural biotechnology has tremendously improved and increased over the last 3 years, and more so over the last two weeks, with more positive, balanced, and accurate reporting on this technology. But I want to mention something about balance. And this is about how to balance a science story. What we have seen over the last 2 weeks is that while in politics, current affairs, politics, we do what we call balancing a story with those who have opposing sides. When it comes to scientific evidence, it becomes really serious when two experts are put together, one who is a scientist, one who is a social scientist, and I have a lot of respect for all the disciplines because environmental science is multidisciplinary, but the whole concept of balancing a science story has been very, very seriously undermined in the media today, because impartiality is not just about including a wide range of views when it comes to science stories. We want to include views. These are opinions. But when it comes to an issue and you want to balance it with another person with a different view who is not in that field, then that leads to false balance. I'm talking to the science journalists now because we have seen that a lot. We have seen a bench, generalized as experts, but then this false balance where experts and non-experts are given equal weight, experts and non-experts are given equal weight, creates a perception in the public mind that an issue such as the safety of GMOs is scientifically contentious, which is not. You have seen what has happened. Because of that, you want to balance, let's bring somebody who has an opposing view, let's bring an expert. That is really false balance, because scientific evidence is a methodological process, and it goes through rigorous peer review. And when you come and balance a scientific fact with an opinion, then we cannot call that a balance. So the attempt by journalists to grant all viewpoints the same legitimacy goes against a key principle in science that is based on weighing evidence to reach a scientific consensus. Essentially, this nature of forced balance not only leaves the public more confused, as we have seen, it also brings to the question a key ethical principle in journalism, such as accuracy. So we may think that we are trying to balance a story, but it actually ends up making the story inaccurate because you have balanced opinion versus fact. So moving on, we want to again encourage our journalists to continue investigating, to continue weighing and interrogating further the expertise of the teams that they call on the media houses, so that the public can be able to gauge about what attributes of this technology they need to be concerned about, or they need to be aware of, or they need to be looking out for. And that way, we'll be able to help our public to make informed decisions. Another attribute that we have found in the way that the 2-week-long debates have gone is that we have more or less engaged in a debate. Debates are important, but again, if you're not looking for a debate to either win or lose, you're looking at a situation where you want people to make informed decisions, it is so important that we verify the facts that we present, and we also do thorough fact-checking. And fact-checking in science journalism is so key, because if you end up choosing Google, Mr. Google or Dr. Google, as your source of information, then you're going to lose out completely, because whatever is posted in the digital space, nobody ever really verifies. But we have institutions that the taxpayer is paying to generate this evidence. We have CALRO here that has been doing research. We have the National Biosafety Authority here that is looking at biosafety. We have the researchers in the different institutions. It is so important that we try as much as possible to verify our facts, to not to misinform the public in the guise of balancing the stories. So for here now, OMA's 22 competition received more number of entries compared to the subsequent years. In fact, the number of entries has impressively been increasing every year as more and more journalists develop understanding and interest in reporting about agricultural biotechnology. Let's give a big applause for all our journalists who have shown a lot of interest in reporting about agricultural biotechnology. So the winning entries were selected by an independent judging committee based on a number of attributes. One is scientific accuracy. So as you write your stories, be mindful that Ofab will be looking at scientific accuracy. Initiative, how far do you go beyond I said, we said? Originality and clarity of interpretation, and also the value in fostering a better public understanding of agricultural biotechnology and its impact in society. We are all working for societal benefit. So allow me at this juncture to thank and recognize this year's judges for the Ofab Media Awards for taking their time to wisely score the stories and select the winning entries based on the criteria that I have just outlined. May I request that the judges who are here to stand for recognition. I know we had an apology from two of the judges, so we had three judges, so they're here. So those are our judges. We have Joy Owango, we have Kennedy Osil, and we have Florida Maritime. Our fourth judge could not make it, Dr. Caro Hunja from Southeastern University, and we are very grateful. And at this juncture, I also want to recognize the Vice Chancellor of Southeastern University of Kenya, who has also joined us here, Professor Muluvi. Please stand for recognition. So the Vice Chancellors who are here are actually hosting the Ofab nodes in the regions, and we are so, so grateful. So let me again thank all of you for coming in here to join us to celebrate these journalists. And as we all await in anticipation to know who have emerged winners, remember that we are all winners in our own right. To those who will be crowned today, let it be a source of inspiration to work even harder. The work of sensitizing the public has just begun in creating societal impact through science reporting. To all other entrants, let it be known that all of your stories were good. Indeed, the judges were amazed. They were all saying, these stories are very good. They didn't even know how to score. But, of course, we had the criteria. And that is why the stories met the scoring threshold, because we also do go through pre-screening. So every entrant of OMAS 2022 is a winner in their own right. And I would like to appreciate all of them. Some of them are here. Can we give them a big round of applause for taking the bold step of submitting their stories to be interrogated on those criteria. So ladies and gentlemen, let me end by saying that everybody is entitled to their own opinion, as we have been told by the wise, but nobody has a right to get their facts wrong. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but when it comes to facts, you cannot have your facts alone and try to impose on other people. Biotechnology is a tool. It has been used for over 25 years, from 1996, that is a fact. Over 70 governments, responsible governments, have approved. So Kenya is not one among two countries, as I have heard. And moving forward, we want to have more science in politics than politics in science. So if you are able to reduce politics in science so that we have more of the science getting into the politics, then we are going to cross this bridge. It's a very difficult bridge because once misinformation sets in, it kind of shapes our belief system, it kind of shapes our perceptions, and sometimes we can make the wrong judgment. So remember, our journalists here, verify your stories, balance a science story in the weighing the evidence that is generated by experts, and very, very importantly, liberate the public from this information disorder. And with that, I want to again ask that you continue enjoying ourselves as we get to know who the winners are for this 2022 Ofab Media Awards. And with that, I give back to the MC.
All right, thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause. Thank you very much for that in-depth and extensive remarks. Thank you. Tumpigie makofi tena. Thank you very much. So in the interest of time, we're going to move swiftly. Next, we're going to have an overview of the Ofab Media Awards in Africa. And I'd like to bring on stage the Director, Resource Mobilization, AATF, Ms. Sophia Tesfazion. Let's clap for her as she comes on stage.
I'm very impressed with your pronunciation.
Thank you. I
That's
practiced
usually a
all
problem.
week.
So I'm here to represent ATF's Executive Director, Canisius Kanangira. Unfortunately, he had an emergency this morning, so I'm representing him. And I'm happy to be here. I was actually representing him last year as well. So it's a pleasure to be here. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I am standing on existing protocols. So I also want to recognize ISA AfriCenter to organize this great event, to recognize the excellent work in terms of reporting on biotechnology in Kenya. So we have noted a clear connection between enhanced stakeholders' knowledge and adoption of technologies and farmers' prosperity. The adoption of the technologies by farmers has led to increased productivity and drive unprecedented progress across entire economies. So the Ofab model, bringing stakeholders together in one platform to address key concerns, is critical in contributing to the creation of an enabling environment for the development and uptake of biotechnology in Africa. So as we know, Ofab interacts with scientists, journalists, policymakers, companies, and civil society by providing credible and evidence-based information on biotechnology. And with the recent growth of Ofab, it's clear that the model is working. So in the different countries, it takes slightly different shapes and different organization, but the model is the same. So as Margaret said, we have 10 countries now in Africa having the Ofab model. And recently Rwanda, Mozambique, Malawi was added to the existing ones: Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Burkina Faso and Ghana. So Ofab will continue to facilitate conversations among stakeholders, to exchange ideas and knowledge and learn from best practices for a better understanding of agricultural technology. But as we know, while we're making progress, misconceptions, propaganda, and myths continue to reign in our societies. There is growing need to keep providing information and raising awareness on biotechnology to enable farmers to adopt modern technologies. So science journalism is significant in transforming African agriculture. The inputs of journalists is critical in informing the public about several major drivers that puts the world off track to ending world hunger and malnutrition in all its forms. If we are to achieve food sufficiency, we need informed farmers, a better seed that tackles the impact of climate change. Journalists, therefore, are the center of capitalizing on the complementarity of science to address these persistent challenges. In realization of low science reporting in Africa, journalists grapple with access to science news sources. Inadequate capacity to report on science, coupled with weak collaboration between media and scientists, has led to anti-technologists to occupy the space with falsehoods. And Margaret has talked about the importance of that. This situation has derailed decision-making in favor of biotechnology, both at policy level and household level. So it's therefore that ATF facilitates the Ofab Media Awards to celebrate and recognize excellent reporting on biotechnology in the Ofab countries. This is the 7th year since the inaugural Ofab Media Awards was launched. So we are really proud of the achievements. ATF is proud of the awards, which have gone a long way in meeting the two objectives: promoting excellence in science journalism and appreciating the contribution of journalists in promoting agricultural biotechnology, and to reward the critical roles played by journalists in promoting constructive dialogue on modern biotechnology through responsible, professional, ethical, and effective reporting over time. So these two objectives have been achieved through journalists who have received the awards, as well as inspired the upcoming journalists to get interested in reporting on agricultural biotechnology. So we hope that the journalists who have been celebrated in the past accurately report and correct any that here. So we are hoping that people continue with the reporting and even try to join the award. So this will go a long way in enhancing public understanding as well as tap into opportunities. Media Awards therefore celebrates the critical roles played by journalists in modern biotechnology through responsible, professional, ethical, and ethical. Ofab's objective, which is to an of agriculture that are needed to transform African agriculture for food security, sustainable development, and poverty eradication. So we wish to congratulate all participants. As Margaret said, all are winners. And I wish you all the best as you anticipate with eagerness on who has won on various categories, but also congratulate you all who are here. Thank you very much, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you, thank you. We can do better than that. Let's give her another round of applause. Thank you very much. So today we are honored to have special guests amongst us. We also have our guest of honor. You know, when I was growing up, we used to have a scenario where we would eat chapati and chicken when we have guests. So guests are very important, not because of the food that we're going to eat, but because they've taken time out of their busy schedules to come and honor us with their presence and grace this event. So I'm going to bring up on stage our guest of honor, who is going to be officially introduced by my co-MC.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the moment of introducing our guest of honor, who will make an official address to you. Mr. Gerald Macau Masila is Executive Director of Eastern Africa Grain Council. I'm going to read his entire profile because it's very impressive. We must know who he is. Gerald has over 25 years of experience in general management, sales, marketing, distribution, commodity exchange and trading, fast-moving consumer goods management, projects management, and management of trade associations. He previously worked with the British American Tobacco in various positions in trade marketing and corporate regulatory affairs departments from 1996 to 2004. He was the head of sales and marketing at the New Kenya Cooperative Creameries from 2004 to 2006, where he was part of the team that revived the new KCC, relaunching the brands and regaining the national and regional market share. He served as a managing director, Kenya Wine Agencies Limited, from 2006 to 2009, where he successfully turned around the company from loss-making to profitability and won the second best state corporation award under the performance contracting in 2008. He served as the managing director, Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, in 2009, before establishing his consulting firm, the Acumen Business Consultants, in 2010, where he was the chief executive, prior to joining EAGC. He served in the Strategic Food Reserve Trust Fund Oversight Board from 2016 to 2021, representing the private sector in the board, and was a member of the Presidential Task Force on Maize appointed in 2018. Presently, Gerald is the chairman of the Board of Interfield Foods Testing Laboratories, IFTL, a joint venture between EAGC and Soy Africa Limited, based in Ruiru, Kiambu County. He is a member of the board of the International Grain Trade Coalition, IGTC, based in Geneva, Switzerland, where he is the treasurer and is also the chairman of the Cereals and Pulses Technical Committee at the Kenya Bureau of Standards in the Republic of Kenya. Under his leadership at the EAGC, Gerald has led the development and implementation of key interventions towards structuring grain, including the GSOCO grain trading systems launched in 2015, a trading platform with a network of certified and automated warehouses linked to farmers' aggregation centers known as Grain Trade Business Hubs, G-Hubs. He's led the establishment of the EAGC Grain Business Institute, previously known as the Eastern Africa Grain Institute, EAGI, the specialized training and capacity building division of EAGC, launched in 2012. He's led the upgraded and relaunch of the EAGC Regional Agricultural Trade Intelligence Network, a marketing information system. He has led hosting of the African Grain Trade Summits, EGTS, the flagship EAGC biennial grain trade policy conferences from the 4th AGTS held in 2011 in Kampala to the 9th AGTS held in Diani, Kwale County, Kenya in 2021, and hosting of the EAGC annual agribusiness expos in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, among others. He has developed and nurtured strong partnerships with various stakeholders, including governments and international development partners, including USAID, SIDA, AGRA, FAO, WFP, IITA, CTA, TMEA, IFC, World Bank, the Rockefeller Foundation, African Union, United Nations Economic Commission on Africa, UNECA, among others, who have partnered and supported EAGC in successfully implementing many interventions, projects, and programs to structure grain trade in the Eastern Africa region. Gerald holds a master's degree in agricultural economic and BA in economics, both from Egerton University in Kenya, and is currently, after everything he has done, pursuing a PhD in project planning and management, specializing in the project finance option at the University of Nairobi. Please let's put our hands together to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Gerald Macau.
I think she should have edited. But let me start by recognizing the chair of the ISA board, who is here with us, Dr. Karanja. Recognize also our permanent secretary, represented here by my friend Peter Woko, from the State Department of Agriculture, of Crops Development and Agriculture Research. Also recognize the ambassador present from Sudan. Recognize the vice chancellors from the various universities in the house. I've seen my friend Francis Wachira around, DVC Seku. And of course, Embu and the others, we recognize them. My senior Professor Atemo Micheka. And of course, our host today, Dr. Margaret Karembu, and all the guests, distinguished guests, and most importantly, the journalists who are here with us this afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you very much. Today is a big day where we are celebrating very important members of the society, and these are our media. The media are very important, and when I look around, I see some that I recognize, some that I've worked with, others have maybe hosted me in some interviews here and there. And to recognize and congratulate Ofab for taking up this very important task of recognizing excellence in scientific journalism. I think that's very important. Many times when I am discussing with Dr. Margaret Karembu, I always complain that I say our communication as people in science and people in agribusiness is not strong enough. And I say that sometimes we act like this proverbial guy who was in a dark room and winking at a girl very, very seriously. And he was the only one who was knowing what was going on. And that's why we say communication is what makes the difference. And with communication, there's always the other flip side of it, which is miscommunication or misinformation. And that has always been a challenge, particularly when we are discussing serious issues like matters to do with science. And I quite like it that Dr. Karembu has said, when it comes to science, science is based on fact, because there's the scientific method that we use. Those of you who have gone, and I can say from here, you've gone through school, you've done your research, you know the procedure of scientific research, from problem statement to your hypothesis, to your data collection, right, to your analysis, to your checking what theory says, to your, at the end of the day, coming up with your findings, which are peer-reviewed, and which, from a scientific point of view, a finding that is scientific has certain characteristics, has to be replicable, has to be comparable, and if somebody else was to take the same problem, go collect data, do the analysis, follow the methodology, they should arrive at a result that is as close as possible as what is yours, and that is why science is different. And science is not opinion, and it's not about who is shouting louder than the other. And that is why it's important for those of you who have taken up the task to do scientific reporting that you really reach out to the experts, get these experts, and present opinion, and know that science is, and what we get out of science is fact-based. And I know in the last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of debate since the government, the cabinet lifted the ban for importing or for all the work that is around biotechnology. And many people think it was something new, because it's not new. We already have the Biosafety Authority in place. We already have biotechnology cotton being produced in this country. And even before that ban that was placed in 2012, we previously were importing GM soya for feed. And so if you consumed foods before 2012 that had feed that had been processed and fed into the dairy cattle or the chicken or whatever, if you consumed by that time, then you have already consumed GMO. And we still see you around, I think, or we don't. And so it's important that when we have this debate, we have a debate that is really factual. And for me, what strikes me most is, as we discuss biotechnology and ask ourselves what is biotechnology, what is innovation, we must also ask ourselves, what are we trying to solve? What condition, what challenge are we trying to solve? And if you go back to the numbers, we are looking at producing food for ourselves. And production, if you just were to compare a few numbers, I picked a few in preparation for engaging today, and I found out that an average farmer for maize in the US gets 15 tons per hectare, 15 tons. Our farmers here in this region get 4 tons. The cost to produce a ton out there in the US is $146. For us here, to produce a ton is over $370. Those are facts. They are out there, you can check for yourself. But the most painful one is that farmer out there, from a hectare, when they do their farming, they make a gross margin of $1,061 approximately. But ours, on average, when you take the numbers and calculate, they actually make a loss, to the extent of even a loss of up to $362 a hectare. And this is true, and it is evidenced because look at those involved a lot in the production even of maize and of other things. They are forever asking for money to be sent from the city for them to till the next season. And so what it is that with the current settings and when we get stuck where we are, it means that the more you continue tilling and producing in our current systems, the more we are losing, the more money we are losing. And that's a fact. And so when you compare those numbers and you see that a US farmer is 400% more productive compared to a Kenyan farmer, then you really start pitying yourself. When you realize that a US farmer uses 40% of the cost that a Kenyan uses to produce 1 metric ton of maize, then we have reason to worry. And that's just production and food production using the land that we have. But then who are we producing it for? We are producing it for our population, for our people. And how are the numbers like? At independence in 1963, and Prof was around, I'm sure, Professor Micheka. You are around, I'm sure. 1963, the population in Kenya then was 8.9 million people. By 1970, there were 11 million Kenyans. I would say there were 11 million of us in 1970. 1990, fast forward, 23.7 million. 2010, 42 million. 2021, you know the figure. What is it? What is the figure? 55 plus million. So in 58 years, our population has increased 6 times. But the land size, of course, the size of Kenya is what always is. And when they project, those people who do demographics and all that, they forecast out to 2030. They tell us, all factors constant, ceteris paribus, you will be looking at 67 plus million Kenyans. We need to feed these people. Obviously, there are also economic challenges that have been with us as we grow and as the population has been coming up. But also environmentally, we have seen a decrease in our land available for food production. A few years back, between Thika and Nairobi, that whole street, that whole road when you drove, there was farmland both sides of the road. There was production of food and agriculture both sides of the road. Today, drive there, it's only concrete jungles. A few years back from Nakuru, those of you go around Nakuru, if you drive Nakuru and you go through to Molo and going up those sides, both sides of the road, you would only see large fields of wheat and wheat and wheat and more wheat. And today, go there, all that land has been changed user. It is houses, it is bricks, it is all that. We are changing our agriculture land into these cities, And yet land, agricultural land particularly, is a finite resource. It is not infinite. Obviously, again, tilling the same land for over 60 years, producing the same product without any rotation, without any of that, the productivity has reduced over time. And fertility has gone down. We are overusing fertilizers without crop rotation, with all that. And really, in Kenya particularly, you know your geography. We have less than 20-25% of our land as really proper arable. The rest is arid, semi-arid, and that is the reality facing us. We also have climate change with us. Crop failures are now more frequent than we have seen before. And as a consequence, what are the consequences of this? We are spending a lot of our resources as Kenya to give to farmers out there to bring us food. You want to know how the numbers are? Wheat imports, for example, has increased from $91 million in 2000 to $458 million in 2020. That's how many years? Look at that increase from 91 to 458. Soybeans, for example, has increased from 2000. Rice imports has also increased. It was $25.8 million in 2000. In 2020, you Kenyans paid over $247 million to import rice to eat. From 25 million. Palm oils, this one shocked me, the oils imports, has moved from 87 million in 2000 to 830 million US dollars in 2020. So, will you argue with those facts? Do you need another opinion of somebody to come and say, what you are saying, I'm not comfortable with it? You will not argue with those facts. And as a journalist, if you're going to even carry a story with those facts, I don't know whether you'll bring somebody else with another opinion against a figure that is a real one. So we've seen the acute food insecurity that we have had. Officially, we've been told this year that 4.1 million people in Kenya require food assistance. And it's true, because even when you see how the drought what it has done, particularly in the livestock producing areas, people have lost. People who had like 1,000, 2,000 heads of cattle have gone down to zero. You come from a wealthy, really, really wealthy person to literally a destitute in a few days because of climate change, lack of feed, and everything else. And food prices are continuing to increase. Who among you thought that one day you will buy a bag of maize for 7,500 shillings? Did you ever imagine you would do that? That was the price that prevailed until recently. It has now come down to 5,500, somewhere there. And that is still, we never believed we'll ever get there. And it's still going on. So in the background of all that, ladies and gentlemen, if we continue doing the same thing and expect different results, I think Albert Einstein already told us long ago what that means. And I want to believe that we don't want to accept that we have a collective problem of that nature. And that's why we need innovation. And the subject of today, when we are looking at the importance and celebrating new journalists who have taken it upon yourself to do science reporting that is factual, that is accurate, is very important, in that the issue of innovation, the issue of adopting technology, using technology, is not a matter of choice per se, it's a matter of survival, really. In the context that when you look at how agriculture is doing and the requirements and what we need to do, we must innovate and we must embrace innovations, technology at all levels. At pre-production, we have to have technology that will improve our yields. We have to use technology that will improve disease resistance, that will make our crops drought tolerant, and that will also keep boosting the nutrition of the crops that we are producing. Of course, we have had many years of success with the hybrids, because the hybrids were the technology then, and some people resisted, others picked, and we moved on. And we have seen a lot of benefits from hybrids. Moving from hybrids, we've been, since the last 25 years, in the genetic modification world, where scientists are able to pick certain traits that they need to introduce in a plant so that you can fortify that plant when it is being attacked by an insect or by a pest or by a disease. It can withstand. And to tell you also what I know, engaging with the breeders and all, even in the international community, GMO in the traditional thinking, genetic modification by introducing a foreign gene into a plant is already outdated. In fact, it's already old technology now. Now, what is happening in science is what is called gene editing. They don't have to introduce something from out, but they go into the gene, look at the various characteristics, decide which one to boost, which one to mute, which one to enhance, without anything from outside. And then that seed, when it's planted, when it's brought out there, it gives us the characteristics, the results that we want, whether it is yield, whether it is disease resistance, whatever it is, weed resistance, and so on and so forth. And there are many other advanced breeding techniques that we are seeing coming out every single day at the agronomy, the crops after harvesting. So technology that improves shelf life, technologies that improve storability of what we harvest, processing. For example, you have got the hermetic storage technologies that use the asphyxiation technique, where oxygen does not and air does not get into the package once you put it, and you therefore don't need to put any chemicals inside that bag. And once you tie it nicely, you can store for 2 years, for 3 years, without the grain getting spoiled or the food getting spoiled, and without the dangers of putting the pesticides and the others. In fact, I would wish that we complain more about pesticides and pesticide use and the issue of residues in the crops that we are eating, because that is hurting us much, much more directly. So, and there are many technologies that we would like you, Fourth Estate, to really bring out there. Solar power dryers, we have seen them, that help in improving the drying and storability. Even extrusion technologies at industry level, which helps to transform the raw materials and ingredients into other final products with just a one step of manufacturing that really then takes us moving. Technologies of biofortification, of blending and many others are there, and they're important, and we need to embrace them. However, as we do this, we are also aware that there might be concerns out there by a lot of people. And for me, most of those concerns are screams of people who want to know, who want to understand. And that is why your role is very important, to fill in that gap of ignorance, of knowledge, because it's important that the public gets to know what are these technologies, how do they work, and how can they apply them, and how can they benefit from them. Obviously, there are also concerns from a business perspective, from commercial concerns in terms of even these technologies, who owns them, the issues of intellectual property. And that's a matter that, of course, is of concern, and I'm sure from the regulatory processes has been addressed. Concerns like what happens if a GMO trait in a variety is inadvertently introduced into a non-GMO in a field through cross-pollination. How do we manage that? Providing the public opportunities to maybe select if they want. We also have seen a lot of accusations and counter-accusations that there could be possibility of a stewardship issue or a governance issue in the process of developing technologies, but that has been explained. That's why we even have the institutions, the regulators who check all that. And all these concerns need to be addressed and informed and communicated extremely well so that we are able to move on, because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the only constant in life is change. Change is there, change keeps moving, we have to keep we also have to keep moving with change, but we must make informed decisions and information that is accurate. So for you, the media and the guests here, you have that big job of being able to take away our ignorance, of informing us and being factual, avoiding polarized debates that really take us nowhere, and to ensure that these things I know are difficult, particularly communicating science and science-related things, but we have to find a way to do it and do it effectively and efficiently. And as I conclude my remarks, I want to also request the organizers that as today we are celebrating those that reported the science and the technologies, let us also have occasions to celebrate our own scientists who would have developed these technologies for us. So let's find that, so that way we can link the two. And because it has been said in the past that when ignorance screams, intelligence moves on. Intelligence will continue moving on. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. I think we'll have a different kind of clap for you, because I wish I had such a bio. You'd be reading it everywhere and projecting it. So let's do this. Right, thank you so much. Clap for yourselves for being good students. All right, so next, we're going to acknowledge our special guests. In any event, especially in the African tradition, guests are a very important part of the program and of the community. So I'll introduce the first guest who will come on stage. I know we are running out of time, but it is important that we acknowledge our guests. So we're going to give you 2 minutes to give us some short remarks. So first on stage, I want to bring up His Excellency Kamal Gubara Mohammed Sahil, who is the Ambassador, Republic of Sudan. Let's clap for him.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me, representing Sudan, to this important occasion. Sudan also in the line for years now, and we appreciate that you are looking to this scientific issue in a very good way. Together as Africans, let us go forward for increasing our production and quality of food at the same time. I know some of the people are against this line, but as far as we are using science, I think the facts will be winning. Thank you again. I would like actually to request to have a copy for the wonderful presentations, the 3 presentations that we hear just now, and to be distributed to the media and to all of us, so this information, important information, can be known by many people. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next, I'll bring up on stage a gentleman who is representing the PS, State Department of Crops, Development and Agriculture Research, Mr. Peter Owoko. Karibu sana. Guys, we can do better. We've eaten lunch and we are full. Karibu, thank you.
Thank you very much. When there's no food, we are the first target, Ministry of Agriculture. the chairman, board of directors, Isa, the directors, managing director, vice chancellors, invited guests, colleagues, good afternoon. If I would just speak from where my friend Mr. Masila started, we are talking about agriculture in the economy. And as he put it historically, our contribution as agriculture to the gross domestic product of the country is staggering. You can easily say it is declining to some extent. When he said when Professor Atemo was a young boy, the contribution was 30-something% to the GDP. You'll find many literature today still referring to 33%, but it has decreased to around 22% because of so many reasons that he mentioned. Some of the key contributors include drought, pests and diseases, land use change, climate change, and all this needs to be addressed if we have to continue sustaining agriculture as a key contributor to our gross domestic product. What you'll appreciate is that whenever agricultural production or GDP related to agriculture goes down, the national GDP will also go down definitely. So we need to sustain the trajectory of the growth of agricultural GDP for our economy to continue to grow. In this case, scientific, technological, and innovation advancement are a critical precursor for socioeconomic development and industrialization. Therefore, this becomes a very important forum because it's appreciating the role of science in developing agriculture. And what the media personnel are doing is equally more important because they're helping transfer what science has brought out to the end user. And consequently, accurate information, accurate presentation becomes very core. I'm sure all of us will be very happy whenever we transfer some information, only to realize that it has been adopted and it has caused growth. It becomes very impressive to own self. Agricultural biotechnological advances are reshaping agriculture and improving food security in many parts of the world. Agribiotech products have the potential of making a profound impact in agriculture and improvement of food security in the face of drought and other effects of climate change. Therefore, biotechnology becomes a very important aspect, and accurate reporting on biotechnology is even more important. We wouldn't say that biotechnology is the solution to all the problems, but it's just a contributor to the challenges agriculture is facing. We do appreciate a combination of biotechnology with other interventions, including mechanization, irrigation, then we are able to realize the potential we are looking for. We can, however, not overlook the role that the media plays in the adoption of such technologies. The media fundamentally inspires public dialogue, thus influencing audience perception and opinion on societal issues. Following the misinformation and misconceptions we have had over the past 1.5 weeks, factual information and transparent communication are essential to allow for constructive dialogue, public understanding, and supporting coherent evidence-based decision-making. We'll all appreciate that our blueprint, Kenya Vision 2030, has a provision for biotechnology and for government to make a policy decision based on science. It must have really been a convincing science. Therefore, all our policy documents points towards supporting adoption of technology in enhancing growth and development. I want to end my remarks there, which I was making on behalf of Dr. Oscar Magenya, who was supposed to represent the Principal Secretary, Until yesterday, he was going to come, but he got bereaved in the night, and in the morning, he called me to come. That is possibly why I don't have a very big bio like my friend. And actually, my bio is not as big as his. I only have 30 years in the government, and that is all. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Tumpigie makofi tena. Thank you very much. So next I'm going to invite a gentleman on stage who is a value chain specialist, and he is the Executive Director, Medori. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Rajiv Arora. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I'm proud of myself. Thank you. Okay.
I was told 2 minutes. I don't know if I can manage even that. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm supposed to talk about media today. And my biodata is, as discussed, not mentioned because I don't have any. I've worked through the bottom-up thing, which we talked today, right from the bottoms of the farmers to the top of the fashion and design. And that's been my biodata, is value chains. And the value chain approach is not just to talk, but to actually demonstrate how we can assist the poorest of the poor, and the one who brings food to the table is the farmer, to take home better income from his farmland which he owns, but also produces good quality agriculture for adding value in the industry. And that's something which is very important. To me, I think the important role of producing good agriculture is partly responsibility of the media. What happens is that when you start doing the demonstrations and the research, you're cross-cutting against many issues. You are spreading yourselves across the country, which has different climates, different soils, different temperatures, different type of water, and the results show many different variations. Sometimes you get early pickings, sometimes you get late pickings, sometimes you get less flowers on the plant, which is cotton, sometimes you get too many. But this is the demonstration, what is being done over 3 to 5 years it takes. And many of the universities actually work very hard to make that understand to the students how we actually work to demonstrate good agriculture. Now, under journalism, what happens is that you go to a certain space, you pick up that information for that particular area, and while it is being demonstrated across, and you bring those facts spoken by 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, maybe 10 farmers in that gathering, but not looking at a wider kind of approach, and then making an average of the results, and then demonstrating that in the media or mass media. So to me, I think it's a very important area which the media has to play, is not just pick information, but actually do a little bit of research across through the universities which are demonstrating, through the institutions as mentioned by Calro and CAFES and probably National Biosafety Authority. But having said this, I like to put on table one example, and that example is of India. In 2005, India was the 5th largest cotton producer of the world. Even though they were 15% of the total land mass of the cotton production, which is about 13 million hectares of the total 70 million. By 2010, they achieved the status of number 1. And that's surprising. In 5 years, you cannot just beat China and US to become number 1 cotton producer. What was the magic? And the magic was none other the biotechnology. The same landmass, the same production reached from close to, I would say, 1.5 to 1.6 million tons to close to about 5.5 million tons. which is the largest today. Is it something which we can't do? Is it something we don't understand? Is it something which we need to be taught? I don't think so. We don't have to reinvent wheels. So media plays a very important part. They should investigate, interrogate, as said by many of my predecessors in this table, and put those facts on the social media saying, why this country is doing so well, why not our country doing that? And that will probably instigate from the advocacy side, from the agriculture side, and also from the industry side, for people to now come back and take that challenge to increase, which we need today, food security. So with little remarks, I would like to congratulate this opportunity to talk about it. I can speak for hours. My experience is not limited, it's unlimited. And I don't want to say, my good friend here, we started working in an association in 28, which I started, he started in 2012. Across Africa, I was representing 27 African countries. So good luck, everyone. Let's give hand to the media for doing a good job. Let's give a big hand. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Another round of applause for him. Asante sana. Okay, next, I'll bring up on stage the Vice Chancellor, University of Embu. Join me in welcoming Professor Daniel Mugendi. Karibu.
Thank you very much, MC. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am also very pleased to be here. Of course, you see I have nothing in my hands, so I have no statistics to give. But I want to say that this is the way forward. In fact, when I saw that announcement 2 weeks ago, I was very happy, indeed very happy. And I know that in Kenya then, the many things and the issues that have really affected and hindered our progress in the area of food production and the sustainability of many things, we won't be able to get there. I am a soil scientist. That is my area of expertise. I work very hard in trying to improve food production for the farmers, and especially the smallholder farmers. But we realize that it has been very, very difficult. I've liked the statistics that have been given here about production costs, and that is the reality. Thank you very much. That's the reality. Producing anything with smallholder farmers is almost impossible. You try to produce maize, when you go for fertilizers, you know, okay, now we are talking of subsidies, but often those subsidies come when the crop, when the season has already began and farmers intend to have planted like last month. So again, they don't help a lot. So in my area of expertise, we try to see then what else we can do to ensure that we are able to increase food production, to try and improve the soil fertility. We talked of the way the soils that have been farmed for many years without adding adequate inputs or returning inputs to enrich those soils. Therefore, fertility has continued to decline over time. And as a result, then production has also continued to decline. Indeed, production right now is quite low for many of the smallholder farmers. And biotechnology is really the way forward. And I'm sure it's really going to help us. And I'm so happy that the government has opened that space for us. I know there are still people who are debating. I know there are some people who are saying, who are telling me, you know me, I cannot eat, even if the government has lifted this, I cannot eat GMO food. So I asked him, when you meet GMO food, then do you know how it looks like? You've already been eating it. So anyway, I'm so happy with what is happening. Thank you again. I know we are here to honor people of the fourth estate because of the good work that you've been doing. Thank you very much. Please continue doing it. Continue educating the publics. Continue giving us those facts out there, because at the end of the day, you can't fight the truth. And that is really what it is. And I'm sure we are going far, and we will be able to get to where we want to be. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Asante sana. A big round of applause. Thank you so much. Next, I'll bring up on stage the Vice Chancellor, Southeastern Kenya University, Professor Geoffrey M. Muluvi. Karibu.
Our chief guest, Dr. Margaret Karebu, all protocol observed. I'm also happy to be here today. This is a very important day. We are honoring the journalists who have been reporting on biotechnology. And I can say that as a country, we have spent a lot of time building capacity in the area of biotechnology. As early as 1998, we already had a master's degree program at Kenyatta University in biotechnology. And in 2001, we already had a bachelor's degree in the area of biotechnology. And I was the chairman of the department then, biochemistry and biotechnology. I remember Jomo Kenyatta was doing the same around the same time. University of Nairobi was also there. Moi University, Egerton was also there. My colleague, Professor Francis Wachira, was there in Egerton, also in biotechnology. As early as 2002, 2003, we are soon doing research in this country in the area of biotechnology. I remember around the same time, with some colleagues and some PhD students we had, we are looking at gene flow studies, what would happen if the GMOs are introduced. We are looking at the cowpea without it to be introduced the following year. 25 years down the line is when we can stand here and celebrate about the introduction of GMOs properly in this country. At one stage, you will get tired of the debate, but Margaret continued. We thank you for that. When everybody was quiet and thought it would not happen, Margaret kept on talking about and championing the issue of biotechnology. So we are very happy as university sector, because now we are there, and there should be no doubt in this country we have enough expertise in the area of biotechnology. We have been there. There are many students, there are many experts. Some of them, I remember the students we had at that time. Some of them are now professors in the university, and I'm sure some of them might be here also teaching biotechnology. So we are there and we are prepared, and we can undo what is going to happen. Thank you very much, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Prof. So next, I'll bring up our last special guest on stage. This is a gentleman who officially opened this event with a word of prayer. And it's my honor to also bring you back on stage as our special guest. He is representing CALRO Director General. This is none other than Dr. Martin Mwirigi. Karibu sana.
Our chief guest, Mr. Musila, our chairman, Isa, director, Isa, AATF representative, vice chancellors who are present, our professors who really taught us in our early years, the journalists and the media house present, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to be here. I'm here representing our Director General, Dr. Elliot Kerigel, who was not able to be with us. And in this case, I'm going to be trying to step in those big shoes. And just to start off, I can give you the story. Today morning, I received these videos, the ones that are passing through WhatsApp. And one was talking about how somebody is interested in reducing population of Africa. The worst case scenario is what was written down there. You are the people who are interested in doing this. So you can see where we are coming from. Yeah. So let me say in Cairo, in general, we are an institute, an organization made up of 16 institutes with different mandates. And within those 16, we have the Biotechnology Research Institute. And just to give a glimpse of how it happened, in the 90s, Kenya started discussing on how to take advantage of this new technology. And in 1996, a center was started. We had the Biotechnology Research Center, which was stationed at Kabete, where we normally call NAL. And later on, as we came to be known as Cairo, the area was elevated to an institute. That's how we are taking the technology serious. And from there has been significant growth, both in terms of infrastructure and the scientists who are involved. A good number have actually been trained from the universities that are present here. And we really appreciate that. That has been our training ground, both locally and internationally. So we are interacting with the university in that area. When it comes to adoption of technologies, the key area actually is sending the message out there. And in research, we have basically like 3 channels. The first one is normally the one between scientists. We write scientific papers. The one that were being referred to as peer-reviewed papers or journals. And they communicate between scientists, and there's a lot of jargon that is used within there. Then within our scope, we try also to synthesize and present some material which can be farmer-friendly. And the last and key area is where now journalists are able to come in and pass the message. I'm sure the Saturday Nation and Standard gives you good information. Actually, that's where a message is delivered home. And adoption of most technologies have actually gone through that route. Because as an institution, we might not have that capacity, but our journalists do a great job to passing that information. Yeah. So we really appreciate as key stakeholders in that area. Yeah. The next thing is, the last, like it was said by Dr. Karembu, the last 2 weeks has been really serious in terms of what we call miscommunication. And the miscommunication is setting the country to a tone where it becomes very difficult for adoption of a technology. So we needed journalists who can be able to communicate the facts, the things that are on the ground. I listened to some of them those who are invited to make presentations in our media houses. And some of them who are key stakeholders in terms of informing the public, they really give information that is not truthful. When somebody says Europe is not using GM, it's not true. And we all know that. But it sets the stage that there is somebody who is more advanced in technology and has refused to use it, which is not true. They are using the same biotech. The scientists, the journalists who are here can go and do a study on how much they're investing in terms of finance in the field of biotechnology. Currently, I think they are surpassing the US in terms of financial input into biotech research. Yeah. Then the second thing is, what probably which the scientists, the journalists need to understand is our needs are different. In Europe, they are not running after stem borer. We are in a different ecology, different environment, a different ecosystem, and therefore our interest in terms of the tools that we need to address our problems cannot be judged on the basis of somebody else who does not need that aspect. So we really need to be very careful. We are in the tropics and everything grows. Everything thrives, from virus to insects, to name it. The environment is good for everything. And therefore, we need more of the technologies to be able to take care of our farmers. And I think the statistics have been well presented by the guest of honor. And we feel challenged. But for us to be able to solve part of that big problem is adapt the current technologies that goes also with the demands of the population. Everybody would want to be organic, but how practical is it is another story. For us as Carol, we promote both, and we provide seed. If you want organic, you want whatever, you will get it. And even for the seeds that even the industry does not want to produce, when you come to Carol, we will give you, because we have a national responsibility to provide for the seeds, which are even cannot be commercially be put into the market. And then the second thing is we have a whole institute that is responsible for genetic resource management. They ensure that whatever that is within the country, it is well taken care of. And we call it the gene bank. It is one of the best and actually globally recognized as a gene bank. So if you want any material that has been used even before and you want to bring it back, we will be able to give you. Yeah. So lastly, let me also say another myth that is quite confusing is the aspect of GM coming to wipe out other seed. It's not true. Biotechnology, GM, is not a farming system. It is not. It is a tool. Just like the way grafting came into place, other techniques which you know that goes into producing hybrid seed is basically the same. The only difference is now we are more precise. Basically, we are not doing guesswork. We are giving products that we entirely know what it is. The GM crops are the most evaluated, tested over the years. In fact, I will be more willing to take a food which has been tested and even evaluated for safety. Other foods, actually, we don't test and evaluate for safety. But the ones that are derived from GM have been well tested and well managed by people who are competent. Yeah. And lastly, let me just say, we work under a very controlled environment, both legally, policy-wise, and the governance of the institution. We don't just do any technology for the sake of it. There are guidelines, there are institutions, regulations that we have to follow. Like for biotechnology, we have to follow the regulations and the National Biosafety Authority. And then we have also KEFIS, we have the animal side, the veterinary department, Directorate of Veterinary Medicine, veterinary service. So whatever we do under an umbrella of regulations and guidelines. Yeah. And the good thing is all those stakeholders have always involved us during the development of those regulations and standards. Yeah. So as a country, I can say we are ready to consume what is being presented. And if you want to attest for journalists who are here, they can go to Kenya Bureau of Standards. They'll find there are already standards that have been developed to take care of what is being brought to the table, including a standard on labeling. Just go and find out. Go to National Biosafety Authority. Look at what are the guidelines that are being presented. We have enough to take care of goods on transit. We have enough for laboratory testing. We have enough for field testing and enough for placing the product into the market and monitoring. So as a country, the infrastructure that is necessary for adoption of the technology is there. And like I said, we have been working on these things from 1996. So the other day I heard somebody saying, a very senior person, this is new technology, we don't know what about it. It might be new to you, but I can say since 96, we have taken scientists to US, to UK, to China, all those, and they are quite competent. So whatever we are going to be giving you as a country, we are giving with certainty as a responsibility to be able to provide food for the sake of food security. As even as we take care of the other security, which is done by military, KALRO is ready to give you the security that is needed. All we need is just a concerted effort from our stakeholders, and we appreciate what ISA is doing. They have been our key stakeholders, actually sensitizing and sending out the right messages. We really appreciate the work being done by ISA. So with those remarks, I would say thank you, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Murigi. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a hearty clap to all our special guests for this afternoon. Now, we're just about to get to the awards presentation, but before we do that, we'd like to call upon Maritime Assistant Director, Corporate Communications at Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, to give us the judges' reflections. You're welcome to the stage. A hearty clap for her as she finds a way through.
My name is Florida, just as you have heard. I'm not going to go to too much because my work is so little. Martin has really spoken and I've been moved. You know, I've been one of those who have been pushing the agenda of GMO in science communications. And today I'm one of those proud people that actually what we have been pushing it has come to pass. I'm speaking on behalf of 4 judges. That is Dr. Carol Unja from Southeastern Kenya University. I don't know whether you are here, she's not here. Joy Owango, Training Center in Communication. If you are here, please, just let us hear your voice, please, on just your name.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for making it for today's gala, and may the best journalist win.
Thank you, Joy. We have also Kennedy Osir from Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Are you here? Please say your name.
As you've heard, my name is Kennedy Osir. Good afternoon. As one of the judges, I would like to say that the articles were so enlightening even for us as judges. We learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm Florida Maritime from KALRO. And I'll be speaking on behalf of our team. The work was so good. It was very moving. We had a number of journalists who actually competed. We had journalists who competed, actually who sent the articles which were general. And then we had those who sent their biotech stories. So we were selecting from categories 5 parameters. 1 is scientific accuracy, that is credibility and completeness. And then we had the number 2 is the initiative of the journalist. Number 3 is the originality and the newsworthiness of the story that the journalists were presenting. And then the clarity of interpretation. And number 5 is value in fostering a better public understanding of the agri-biotech and its impact. For the members who never understood, when we sent out the advert for the competition, it was very specific. It was agri-biotech. And we were basing our judgment on agri-biotech. not general agriculture. Because we have a very wide agricultural stories which the members of the Fourth Estate have been writing, but for the purpose of this award, it was specific for the agri-biotech. And how many compete? We had 27 stories sent, 6 were ladies, 17 were gentlemen. So we can tell. Most of our ladies don't like competition. I don't know why. Please be writing. It is good to have all of you writing because journalists actually are almost 50-50 in the country. You cannot say that there are more ladies or there are more men. Actually, they are almost equal. There are more ladies, isn't it? Eh? You can hear from the professionals. There are more ladies, and yet we are receiving less stories from the ladies. Please compete. Please compete. You are the mother of the nation, and agriculture is the mother. Isn't it? Yes, it produces, and mothers produce. So align to it. So what we noted during the judgment, there is need of a lot of research from the journalist. Real research. Not from your peers, but from everywhere. Research your work before you write, or as you write, do a lot of research. Both on the Google, yes, but also from the people on the ground. If it is Calro, go to Calro. Get your facts right. Another thing, when it comes to researching, get the names of those you are engaging right. The source of information, very important. Because the moment you quote a different thing and the scientist sees that you have quoted him, but the information you are giving is not the right one, definitely, they'll disown the information that you've written. So it is very, very important you research the names and of the scientists, get the facts right from them, and even if it is policymakers, because we do research also from the policymakers, get the facts right from the policymakers. Get the facts right from the farmers, because also the farmers are very key when it comes to writing a successful story. When it comes also to research, because what we found out, most of our journalists confused, because even when our chief guest said about gene editing is not a GMO. It is a different tool for agriculture. So ensure that when you are writing, get the facts right, the right terms to use and follow so that it becomes the right information to the public. Because for sure, you can imagine the media sending out gene editing instead of GMO. The implication that you have created in the entire public. It could really kill the technology or it could kill the message that you are driving to speak. And when it comes also to researching, what you need to research more is on the numbers. Get the numbers right. You heard our chief guest is a socioeconomist. Numbers speaks. Get the right numbers. When they say that people in Kenya are dying because of this, or people in US are using this technology, how many are they? If you are using the figures, use the right figures. About also the linking the scientific findings in the facts on the ground. You find that a journalist will write something without knowing what is going on in the fields there with the farmers. Because actually the reason why we are writing is either for the policymakers, for the farmers, or for the general public, or for the scientists themselves to know. So ensure that when you are writing, understand your audience. The people you want to send your message to, get to know them well. If you know that farmers would like to know about BT cotton, understand them, use the right language they know best, use the right words. Don't just go and pick a word which they not understand, or you pick figures which they might not understand. let me again say about the scientists when you are writing, because that is what we found also. It is important you speak to the scientists themselves, not a proxy. For example, if you speak to me, Florida, working in Cairo, you ask me, I want to know about this technology. I'll not give you, because I'm not the owner of the technology. The people who are doing research are the scientists themselves. I'll give you the right person. So get to know who are the linkages to those scientists so that you get the right information. And just to finish, I'm requesting also, because this one came out very well, our scientists, your profiles online. Because your profiles online really matters when it comes to writing the stories. Sometimes you get our scientists, our journalists, wanting to write a very nice story. But when they go online, what they see is just maybe a name. They don't get what you are doing, your specialization, so they get mixed up. And they end up maybe calling somebody they know, and I might not be knowing the name very well, or your background very well. Get your profile right online, so that our journalists can get the right information online. And even if it is possible, let them know what you are researching on. Because at times, they go to a different scientist who is against the technology, and they give them the information because they come from Cairo, for example. In Cairo, we have more than 250 scientists or more. Martin can attest to that. And not all of them, let me just use that, as much as you are one organization, not everyone will speak the same technology, the right way. Because we have scientists who are dealing with maybe millets, and you are asking him a question on biotech. And because he comes from Cairo and you really need the information at that time, you take the information he gives you before doing the research. So get your profiles online well. Package them well. If you have a linklet, package it. For those who are not online, you are too late. Please, let your profile be online. I think at this age, it will be too bad if you are a scientist and we don't have your online profile. Please get it right. Because I know the journalists, they struggle. Me, I'm I'm not a trained journalist, but I'm a trained communicator. I want to get the information. My editor is waiting for it, and I cannot get it anywhere. And maybe it is just a name to get that story online or in the public domain. Like now, when the GM issue is on, you know it is a trending issue. Journalists are calling, who is dealing with this? Who is dealing with this? But if you don't have that profile online, they really struggle. And you know, the editors are on their neck. They want to trend also. They want to give the immediate information. And when you don't give them, they really suffer. And for today, because I have only a few minutes, just as I said, we had 27 competitors. Tulichuja, tukachuja. Mpaka wakafika 7. The last team that we were dealing with was 7. Actually, those who wrote agri-biotech related stories. And out of those 7, I'll hand over to the next presenter to do that. Thank you. To give us an opportunity at least once or twice a year to train our journalists so that they can, on science communication particularly, so that they can compete from the same ground. Please. We had journalists from radio, vernacular stations, so it was not We had online writers, we had print, we had TV, and we had, I think those are the limited for now, and we had only vernacular stations talking. So it was across. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. That was very detailed, clear, and direct. Asante sana. Tumpige makofi tena. We can do better than that. Let's try again. Let's clap for her. Thank you, thank you. So next we have come. Our special guests, please join me on stage, and let's do this together. Our special guest, tafadhali.
Wanasubiri kazi ya Mungu haina makosa, ingekuwa binadamu wanatoa.
Great Karembu. So at this point, I want to bring up the first runner-up position, and this year it was so stiff, we had a tie. So the first runner-up position went to 2 individuals. It was a tie. The first individual I'm going to bring on stage is a correspondent of Radio Citizen, Royal Media Services. This gentleman goes by the name Vincent Anguche, first runner-up position. Muturi, congratulations. First runner-up category, Ofab Media Awards 2022. the overall winner, Ofab Media Awards 2022. This individual is from the Star newspaper, Radio Africa. She is the winner of the print and online category and the overall winner, Ofab Kenya Media Award 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to Agatha Ngotho. Congratulations. Agatha. A brief remarks. Our special guest and Dr. Margaret Karembu, kindly take your seats. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Brief remarks.
All I can say is thank you guys who supported me. First of all, it's by grace of God that I've won this award. All the Royal Media family, I can see Dennis was somewhere there. My editors and everyone who came through when I was doing the stories. And I can say this award will motivate me to do more stories and represent the farmer, because most of my stories were about the farmer. I did a story about farmers in Kirinyaga. I did one about dairy farmers in Kiambu and Nakuru counties. And I believe those stories are the ones that made me win this award. At least right now I can say something new on my bio, an award-winning journalist. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looks like everyone is working on lengthening that bio. Thank you very much and congratulations. Next we'll have Victor Muturi. Let's clap for him.
Hamjambo. Kwanza nashukuru sana kwa wale wahudumu ambao wale waamuzi, judges ambao waliweza kufanya kazi, kuweza kuainisha makala yetu. Mimi ni reporter katika idhaa ya Radio France International, kuna Kiswahili na Kiingereza. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa mara yangu ya kwanza kwa kweli kufanya taarifa za kilimo na teknolojia. Niliweza kusafiri hadi Kirinyaga, nikajionea BT Cotton Mill mwenyewe, nikaishika, nikazungumza na baadhi ya wakulima. Na kwa kweli walisema kwamba kuna tofauti kubwa ukilinganisha na ile pamba ya kitambo na ile teknolojia. Kwa hivyo ni jambo ambalo ni geni kwetu. Kwa hivyo vile ameweza kusema kwamba tunahitaji kwa kweli kufanya ile training ambayo ni dhabiti ili tuweze kueneza swala hili kikamilifu. Asante sana, nashukuru.
Asante sana. So I'll invite Mr. Eric Okoth to give remarks on behalf of Agatha Ngotho, who is the overall winner of Ofab Media Awards 2022. Karibu.
Hello, everyone. First of all, to say thank you for the award. She was supposed to be here, but unfortunately, she's in the field. She's in Tarakanidhi doing what she likes best. So she asked me to come and represent her. Nimesema asante sana, thank you very much. It will reach home, and I appreciate very much for the award. She has been trying very much to win, but finally God has shown her the light. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Karibu, karibu. Now, we are coming to the end of the program. And before we wrap up officially, I want to bring up another very special guest who has graced this event today. And this gentleman, I'm going to read his profile. But before that, I just want to mention something about him. He is making a fashion statement. I don't know if you've noticed anything in the room, but you'll see what I'm referring to when he comes up on stage. He has a very impressive bio. This gentleman is the co-founder and chief innovations officer at Vilgro Africa, an early-stage business incubator and impact investor that seeks to support startups with a global social impact focus in the African region. He is the board chair of ISA AfriCenter. He has a career spanning 20 years in the fields of academia, research, development, technological innovation, and development entrepreneurship in global health across the East African region. He holds a PhD degree in parasitology and entomology from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring up on stage Dr. Robert Karanja. Makofi, makofi kwake. Let's clap for him. Let's clap for him as he comes on stage. Let's keep clapping. Karibu sana, karibu sana.
Oh boy, Hamjambo. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves as much as I've been enjoying myself. Excellent. So mine is actually to do the job of being a good host, to say a big, big thank you to all of you. So I have a few written notes here to help make sure that I keep to protocol. But I think this whole event, I was seated with one of the judges, and so I was being given some 411 in terms of the stories that were submitted and the judging and the passion in our journalists. We are so excited. And I'm looking forward. I've asked for the dossier, if they can share all 21 stories, because I think there's a lot of great reporting that's happening. I want to quickly, and congratulations to the winners. Agatha Ngotho, where is our brother who was representing Fikisha Salamu. And congratulations. And Vincent Angucha, where are you again? Thank you. Congratulations. Victor Muturi, kwa Kiswahili, man, I was thinking, my goodness, you're good. Congratulations. And this is on Radio France. Wow, wow, wow. I think we're just an impressive constellation of stars here today. So I want, without further ado, let me give you the final remarks. I don't think it's impossible to talk about biotechnology without talking about innovation. One of the things people tend to not know about Kenya, and this is a very, I don't know why it's a secret. When it comes to sub-Saharan Africa, I think it's only South Africa that has deeper expertise in terms of talent and infrastructure compared to Kenya. And that goes for agriculture, that goes for health. And the challenge has been just not being able to get this research out into the marketplace. So even as we talk about the ban being lifted, the reason we are so excited is because finally a lot of great solutions that have been sitting in the shelves can now finally come out. And I'm not just talking about those big companies, the buyers, Syngenta, Monsanto. No, Kenyan inventions. And I'd really want to encourage our journalists, please cover that too, so that this question of, do we have the expertise, do we have the capacity? And whether it is Calro or the regulatory or everybody else, it's just tremendous infrastructure and expertise in this country that we need to actually be proud of, not hide it like a secret. So it's not a secret. It's really an amazing ecosystem we have in Nairobi. In Kenya, we are actually the regional hub for biosciences for Africa. So even at the AU NEPAD, when they're thinking about biotechnology, where is the center of excellence, where is the ecosystem that's leading and guiding the continent? It's us. So please clap for us. And kindly take that message home so that it's not just the world that knows us. Let's not be the prophets that are accepted everywhere, but at home, you've got no fame. Silvio. Awesome. So allow me to very quickly give the vote of thanks. First of all, to our chief guests, Gerald Masila, and very soon Dr. Gerald Masila, and super excited. And I really, I'm not joking. I really want to see your speech. And believe it, he's saying me, this is just facts that he put together, a few notes to get it. And I'm like, wow, that's an encyclopedia right there of a lot of pertinent information that is really missing in the national narrative. So thank you for honoring us. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. And we will take that message with us wherever we go. I also want to thank His Excellency Kamal Gubara Mohammed Salih, the ambassador of the Republic of Sudan. We are so honored to have you here. And it's very interesting. I could stand here and say the exact same thing that you said. And guess what? You won't see these cameras flashing. It makes a difference when it comes from His Excellency. And so we are so excited that you've honored us with your presence and just speaking to this national conversation, because it is true. We're in a regional crisis. We do need to speak to our food security and move from the theory to the practical. So karibu sana, and please keep coming. I also want to say thank you to the Ministry of Agriculture. I think they've already left us, but we had very great, very timely remarks from Mr. Peter Owoko, representing the PS for the Ministry of Agriculture. Our colleague and partner, Ms. Sophia Tesfazion from the African Agricultural Technology Foundation. Thank you for partnering with us, making Ofab an amazing success. Our judges that took the time to not just evaluate, but also, when Florida was speaking here, that passion was just coming out. Thank you for taking the time. When others are rewarded, you never get any financial reward. You just do a lot of work in the background, but you do something that is really crucial. So thank you for elevating the level of the game, because you are bringing in your expertise and you're basically creating that tide that's raising all the boats. So we are very indebted to you. I also want to thank the Ofab nodes. We have heard from our special guests from SECU, Professor Muturi, from the University of Embu, Professor Mugendi, from the University of Masinde Muliro. They were not able to get here today, but we would still want to thank and acknowledge them for the great work that they are doing, ensuring that this conversation is not just happening in Kenya. We need to, when the government evolved, we are all told, basically, let's take our services, let's be the people on the ground. And so they are a big part of the success of Ofab. Calro, we cannot talk about biotechnology without mentioning Calro. And thank you for outlining the amazing capacity that we have. Again, like I said, somehow or other, it's a secret. What do we need to do? and maybe we need not just profiles for scientists, but even profiles or capability statements for organizations, so that we're able to actually state categorically, this is a capacity we have in-house. Not just for you, same KEFI, same the National Biosafety Authority, all of these amazing universities that are doing tremendous research here, inventing technologies that are going to become the lifesavers for not just us. We're going to be exporting these solutions too. So becoming industrialists, even from the research. So let's put out this information. Let's make it abundantly clear that there's a lot of capacity. The National Biosafety Authority, they're not here, but my good friend Dr. Roy Mugera, asante sana. AU NEPAD, we talked about them earlier, Dr. Silas Obukosia, my colleague, board member at ISA, Professor Ratemo Mcheka, wearing many hats like me. I need to get you a hat. So he's both the chair for the research fund, a key partner in terms of funding the research that we're talking about. Also, the chair of the Kenya National Academy of Sciences. So a lot of expertise around us today. The African Academy of Sciences, Ms. Jackie Olang. Again, great, thank you for the partnership. Is Jackie here? Where? Asante sana. Fikisheni salamu. And once again, to all the journalists, because you are actually our VIPs, thank you for taking the time, having the journalistic integrity and passion to take the voice and the aspirations of not just our scientists, even our farmers, even the private sector that are actually part of this. Thank you. I did mention AATF, but it's good to mention again. You're right. We cannot overstate AATF. Asanteni sana, ladies and gentlemen. So, Wana MC, also thank you for the two MCs. Can you give them a round of applause?
Thank you.
For bringing us through this event, so making it glamorous and savvy. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Let's give him another big round of applause. Thank you so much for crowning it very well and summing it up for us. Let's give him a clap. Let's give him a clap. So next, we want to ensure that we capture these moments because these are memorable moments. And we're going to have a photo op with all our winners, and I'll call them one by one. Before they come on stage, I want to invite our guest of honor and Dr. Margaret Karembu to come on stage. Tuwapigie makofi. Don't get tired of clapping for them. And His Excellency, the Ambassador, tafadhali, please join us on stage. The first photo we'll have is of our first runner-up, Vincent Anguche. Vincent, tafadhali, let's jump in.